Batman'89, Shadows. Based on the comic written by Sam Hamm, with art by Joe Quinones, Leonardo Ito, and Clayton Cowles. Adapted by Ben Wan. It was Halloween in Gotham City. For years, criminals had terrorized the citizens into staying home on this night. But that was before Gotham City had Batman. Now the people felt safe enough to have a public celebration. Gotham Square was packed with citizens dressed as their hero. But at the Neuverse restaurant, there were two people who weren't so worried about ghosts and goblins. District Attorney Harvey Dent sat down with his girlfriend, Barbara Gordon, the daughter of Police Commissioner James Gordon.
Ooh, this is good, Harvey. Too good. Are we on the city's tab?
No, ma'am. There will be no city business discussed at this table. It's a special occasion.
What kind of special occasion?
Well...
Harvey passed over a small ring box. She opened it.
Oh, Harvey. I wasn't expecting...
Take it home. Think it over. Maybe this will help you decide.
He gave her a silver dollar, a token from his childhood growing up in the neighborhood of Burnside.
Heads, yes. Tails, no. I'm feeling lucky.
Did you really just give me a two-headed coin? Keep it. Because my answer's yes.
Just then, they heard an explosion in the distance. Harvey and Barbara rushed over to the windows to see what was going on. A gang of criminals wearing clown makeup resembling the late criminal the Joker had just blown up a bridge. Two armored cars belonging to Lincoln Savings and Loan had fallen below. Other members of the gang arrived in a helicopter, attaching hooks to airlift the armored cars out of the rubble. On the rooftop, far above, stone gargoyles gazed down, keeping watch of the crime. One of the gargoyles moved. It landed on the armored car, revealing the caped figure of Batman. He immediately fired his grappling hook, snagging the car on one of the buildings, causing the helicopter to go down from the weight. The gang members panicked and parachuted out as the helicopter crashed. Down below, Batman landed in front of the Lincoln Savings and Loan building. The Joker gang opened fire on him. Thinking quickly, Batman saw the bank's mascot, a giant Lincoln's head penny. He threw his batarang, dislodging it. The giant penny rolled in front of him, blocking him from the gunfire until it crashed into a wall. Then the Joker gang members heard the roar of an engine. A sleek, demonic car arrived, the Batmobile. The cockpit opened, and Batman jumped inside. The Batmobile charged right towards the gang. They ran off, only to find themselves caught in the spotlight of a police helicopter carrying Commissioner Gordon.
This is the police. This area has been secured. Do not attempt to leave.
As the police rounded up the suspects, Gordon saw the Batmobile drive off and smiled to himself. Back outside the Neuverse restaurant, Harvey and Barbara attempted to walk home when a member of the Joker gang grabbed Barbara's purse and ran. Harvey chased after him.
Harvey!
He followed the criminal down an alley where he was surprised by a second Joker gang member.
Hold it. Hand over the Rolex.
Hey, no problem. I don't want any trouble.
Harvey had slipped his Rolex into his hand and punched the criminal, picking up his gun and pointing it back at his attackers.
Don't shoot, mister!
Isn't that funny? I just can't decide what to do. I think I'll toss a coin. Heads, you die. Tails, you walk.
From yards away, Barbara heard the sound and ran over, only to find Harvey firing the gun in the air. The Joker members were fleeing.
It's all right, Barbara. I just wanted to scare him.
Scare them? You could have been killed. Harvey, I can replace a purse, but I could never replace you.
She embraced him. As Harvey looked off, however, he saw the Batmobile passing by. He watched with resentment. To him, this was all Batman's fault. The next morning, Batman's civilian identity, Bruce Wayne, slept in bed. In his dreams, he was reuniting with the woman he met last Christmas, Selina Kyle, the Catwoman.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting to do this.
But as she went in to kiss him, Bruce woke up to see his black cat, who was licking him awake. Last Christmas, Bruce had attempted to find Selina, only to find her cat instead, wearing a red collar, identifying her with the name Miss Kitty. Bruce had adopted her as a reminder of Selina, with the hope that someday he'd see her again. As he got up, his faithful butler Alfred was opening up the curtains.
Sorry to rouse you, sir. You seem to be having a pleasant dream.
For once. Where's breakfast?
Downstairs. You have a visitor.
Bruce came down to the kitchen. Harvey Dent had come to see his old friend at Wayne Manor.
What's on your mind, Harvey?
The city's in chaos. I have a way to fix it, but I'm going to need help. With your backing, we're going to take down Batman.
Harvey then told Bruce what had happened on Halloween night.
The whole fiasco cost $26 million in property damage alone. The Joker's gone, but criminals are still copying him. All Batman's done is cause more of these knuckleheads to come out the woodwork. This is Gordon's mess in trusting that vigilante. It's time he owned up to it.
I'd like to help Harvey, but Jim Gordon and I go a long way back.
Well, there's no hurry, if you don't mind troops in the streets.
Troops?
You haven't heard? We've called in the National Guard, and we're having City Council put in a vote for no confidence to kick Gordon out. I promised I'd make this city safe for decent people, and that's what I'm going to do.
After Harvey left, Bruce felt disturbed by his friend's words.
Mr. Dent is a man on a crusade, very much like yourself.
I'm not turning on Jim Gordon.
I'm well aware. But if I may say, sir, I think the district attorney has a point.
Alfred, if I really think I'm doing more harm than good, I'll quit.
That night, Batman watched over Gotham as he communicated to Commissioner Gordon over the back-channel communication system.
Look, I'm not long for this job. The channel we're on may be compromised. So one last piece of advice. Stay off the streets. The National Guard has orders to bring you in. If I don't see you again, thanks. We tried.
As Gordon destroyed his headset, Batman remembered the night years ago when his parents were murdered by Jack Napier. As the police arrived, only one officer took the time to comfort him, putting a hand on his shoulders.
It's okay, son. You'll be okay.
As the memory faded away, Batman spoke, knowing that the commissioner would never hear him.
Thank you.
Then Batman heard the sound of gunshots and leapt off the roof, seeing a shopkeeper with a gun chase after a thief. As the National Guard cornered the shopkeeper to drop his weapon, Batman followed the thief to an apartment building. He peeked in through the windows and saw an unexpected sight. The man was holding a crying baby.
Don't cry, Naisha. I brought you some peas and sweet potatoes.
Batman stepped in through the window.
Please, man, don't hurt Naisha. She didn't do nothing.
I'm not gonna hurt you. Where's the money you took?
Money? No, you gotta believe me. All I took was diapers and baby food. Naisha's hungry.
Batman heard a sound from the fire escape. Going to investigate it, he peeked out, only for him to see a giant boot hit him in the face. Batman sprawled back as a masked figure in a green and yellow costume dropped down.
Not your house, man. Next time, no.
With another surprise kick, the figure knocked Batman off the fire escape. Batman felt dazed. This must have been what criminals felt when he attacked. He fired his grappling gun, slowing his fall. Back inside, the other masked figure turned to the thief and handed him cash.
Sorry for the trouble here.
What's this?
$8. That's all I got.
Down below, the National Guard, who had finished dealing with the shopkeeper, ran over to find Batman.
Hold it right there! I said, hold it right there!
True to Gordon's warning, they took aim at him. Thinking quickly, Batman threw a gas pellet, clouding their vision, to use the grappling gun to propel him up against the side of the building.
Up there! I can see him!
Batman threw down a flash grenade, blinding the National Guardsman as the grappling gun moved him past the fire escape. Standing out there was the thief, peeking to see what was going on as the National Guard opened fire, shooting blindly.
Get down!
But a stray bullet hit the man in the neck, sending him falling off the ledge of the fire escape. Batman tried to reach out for him, but he was too late. He watched in horror as the man fell to the sidewalk. Back at the Batcave, Alfred found Bruce Wayne, still in the Batsuit, but with his cowl off. For the first time in a while, he seemed defeated.
Master Bruce. Sir,
I screwed up, Alfred. This time, and I well and truly screwed up.
The next day, Harvey Dent met with Barbara at a park, who had been going through the police evidence on Batman.
Okay, Santa Claus, what have you got?
This looks kind of like a cross between a boomerang and a throwing star, with what looks to be a computerized targeting system.
It was the batarang used to frame Batman in the Ice Princess kidnapping last Christmas. Barbara threw it. It came back. She then handed it to Harvey.
How does this thing work?
It locks in on a unique heat signature. Throw it at the bench.
Harvey did, but it hit him in the shoulder.
Ow!
Huh. I must have had it locked on you by mistake.
By mistake. What else have you got?
There's a couple of detachable fenders that somehow got knocked off his muscle car when the cops chased him last Christmas.
I think I know someone who could help us with these.
Harvey drove to his childhood neighborhood in Burnside. At the Royal Garage, he tracked down a young mechanic and computer whiz who worked there, named Drake Winston.
I hear you've got a photographic memory for car parts, Drake. I've got some parts from, let's say, an exotic model. I'd like to know if they were modified from a production car or machined from scratch.
Exotic? Nah, I don't think I can help you.
Did I do something to upset you?
You're a cop, Mr. Dent. I'm sure you're a very nice cop, but you're a cop.
As Drake walked away, Harvey saw the owner of the garage, Jerome Otis, come in. He had heard the whole conversation. Mr. Otis was a father figure not only to Drake, but also to Harvey when he was younger.
Can't blame the boy. Kids around here don't see you at all, Harvey. You've been moving with a different crowd.
I know where I came from. Always have. But to roll with that crowd, I have to hide my real face. The clothes, the car, it's all a costume.
What exactly are you trying to be?
You know Jerome. Big man.
Back in the old days, Mr. Otis would use the two-headed coin to play a game with Harvey.
I'm gonna flip this coin, Harvey. Heads, you grow up to be a big man. Tails, you're nothing but a bum. Call it.
Heads?
Heads.
Ha! Big man! Again. Let's do it again.
You always called heads and you always won. And you never even asked to look at the coin. Most gullible child I ever did see.
No, it's just that I trusted you. Still do.
I hope so, son, because the council just arrived.
A group of prominent community leaders entered the garage. Mr. Otis led the meeting, discussing the recent events.
We lost one in the hospital. There's a child orphaned. I want a lid on this neighborhood. People need to express their anger, yes, but peacefully. No violence and no excuses.
I want to help, however I can.
As the council meeting continued, a group of movers arrived at Wayne Manor, much to Alfred's surprise. They were bringing in the giant penny that Batman had used to shield himself the other night. Alarmed, Alfred went down to the Batcave to talk to Bruce.
I want to move it down here. Brighten the place up a little.
Down here, sir. A giant penny.
It saved my life. Is that all right with you? Sorry, Alfred, but the kid's dead. The girl's alone, and I have no way of making it right.
This self-imposed hiatus is not helping your disposition, sir. But you're lucky enough to have options. On those rare occasions when vigilantism fails, you can always resort to philanthropy.
As Alfred spoke, Bruce looked at the screens on the Bat computer, where he saw Harvey Dent making a speech to the community.
People of Burnside, I come to you as one of you. I was born here and grew up here on Baltimore Avenue, just a few blocks away. We all know there are two Gothams, and I can tell you it's true because I've lived in both.
Drake Winston walked past Dent's speech, ignoring it. He had been too used to politicians making empty promises. As he walked through the neighborhood, he spotted a gang breaking through a shop window. He ran off, donning a green and yellow costume, the costume of the vigilante who attacked Batman. Since he was still wearing his mechanic uniform underneath, he had the letter R on his chest, the logo of the Royal Garage. Drake ran back to the crime scene and began fighting the gang. Bystanders ran up to watch as the gang tried to frame the masked man for the crime.
Over here. We caught this punk. He was robbing the store.
What did you say, fool? Say it again.
I said he was robbing the...
When Drake finished with the gang, he turned to the bystanders.
Turn him into the cops, if he rode that way. Or, there's a dumpster around the corner with the deadbolt on the latch. Watch over Mr. Boucham's store.
With the gang thwarted, Drake ran away. The bystanders looked at each other, wondering who the masked man was.
Who was that guy?
They had noticed the R on his chest and thought they heard the gang member call him Robin. Later that night, the gang met back at their hideout, licking their wounds. One of the gang members returned, reporting that he had followed the masked man home and knew exactly where he lived. The Royal Garage in Burnside. As they planned their revenge, Harvey had brought Bruce Wayne to the garage to meet with Mr. Otis and the council.
So let me see if I understand what Harvey's telling us. You're proposing to stake every school-age child in the Burnside district to 4 years of Gotham State University at your expense? If I may ask, Mr. Wayne, why this sudden interest in Burnside?
Harvey's speech. Two Gothams, existing in the same place. It struck a chord with me. And, of course, the young man who was shot. The little girl, Naisha, who was orphaned. You may not know this, but I've lost members of my own family to gun violence.
We all know what that's like.
Same here.
Yeah, me too.
Systemic problems take generations to fix, but there are some problems you can fix with money. That's where I can help.
Up above, Drake Winston listened, then turned away. He had heard enough empty promises.
We'd like to think on your generous offer, if we might consider this the start of an ongoing discussion.
Call me anytime.
As the meeting was dismissed, Bruce went back to his car, only to hear screams.
The garage! It's on fire! Help! Somebody! Fire!
Bruce immediately opened the trunk. He couldn't change in the batsuit out in the open, but he could disguise himself with a ski mask he had packed for emergencies for times he was caught without the costume. He ran towards the fire only to hear a scream in the nearby alley. Bruce followed the sound, only to stop in his tracks. On the floor lay the gang who had started the fire, their faces all slashed by the woman standing in the alley. A woman Batman hadn't seen since last Christmas. Catwoman.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
Selina?
She took a spray can and sprayed the word arson on a nearby dumpster.
I know you're keeping a low profile, federales and all, so I'll just stick your little buddies in the dumpster. You've got fires to put out anyway. I think fires are romantic. Don't you?
Back at the Royal Garage, Harvey Dent, Barbara Gordon, and Mr. Otis stood outside the fire in horror.
Wait, Drake's in there. His room, it's up top over the body shop. He was gonna take a nap.
I'll get him.
Harvey, no.
I love you. I'll be fine.
Harvey!
But Harvey was already going in. Inside, he searched through the flames.
Drake! Drake!
As Harvey attempted to go up the stairs to find Drake, the stairwell collapsed. The flames surrounded his body. A brown liquid from a busted car battery started trickling its way towards him. This audio drama is brought to you by Neuverse Creative and features the voice talents of Josh Portillo, Derric Willingham, Angela Hoeffler, Alexander Pond, Loren King, Lauren Sanders, Christopher Anderson II, Anthony Williams, Tommy Rickard, AJ Carter, and Davis Allen. Narrated by Ben Wan. This audio drama is based on a comic book written by Sam Hamm and was adapted by Ben Wan, directed and edited by Tim Maxwell. If you're a fan of this comic, check out my podcast, Superhero Stuff You Should Know, where I dove into each issue and interviewed writer Sam Hamm, artist Joe Quinones, and editor Andy Curry. And if you're a fan of how I adapted this comic for Neuverse Creative, check out my short story titled Shortcut to Happily Ever After at Metaphorosis Magazine. You can find the link along with a bunch of my other work at my website, benwanwriter.com. Batman'89, Shadows. Batman was created by Bob Kane, with Bill Finger, based on characters appearing in DC Comics.